Talk to us as well about how you managed that block of time as well before the HSC in terms of balancing those subjects. So you mentioned there that maths was, maybe a paper every second day, which makes perfect sense to me. Were you then just adding one more subject? Did you have a kind of a cap on how much you'd look at each day, and run us through the justifications there?
Yeah, I know a lot of people prefer to do like two subjects a day and really do like a lot of them. But I found for me personally, what worked better is like really chunking my subjects up into little pieces. So I would do like up to four subjects a day, like 2 hours each kind of thing. And I also found that when I came back to look at what I'd been doing like the past day or the past 2 days, it kind of forced me to have to think about what I had been doing back then and then like kind of get back into that mindset and then keep going. So say I'm like, I don't know, studying for PE and then left off halfway through a little dot point and then I'm sorry, I'm explaining this really badly.
No, no.
If I came back to a dot point that I hadn't finished yet, it forced me to think about what I'd just learned like the day
Mm,
before.
mm,
So kind of in a way like active recalling.
yeah.
But yeah,
No, that's a great tip. I think, doing something one day and then moving on completely is not always the best strategy. You always want to cement the knowledge in. So if you
yeah,
can kind
exactly.
of spread your learning over a couple of days by doing what you just said and revisiting points, especially points that you might not have been as familiar with in terms of the syllabus, then that's a great strategy and you're going to retain the knowledge a lot better that way. But that's interesting. So that's another approach. You've gone for more of a four subject a day approach. You're saying 2 hours. So were you doing about 8 hours at the peak of it, or in terms of study per day?
Yeah, I think so. What also really helped me was like changing up where I was studying. So I would kind of go to the library from like 8 till 3 at school and then come home, have a bit of a break, and then go from like 5 till 8. Obviously, I'm not studying that whole time at the library, but yeah, like breaking it up into different places kind of feels like, for me, you're studying all day every day kind of felt like a new day when I got home.
Yeah,
Which
lovely.
I don't know if that's the most healthy thing, but yeah.
No, no, that makes sense. It's funny, these kind of things you have to do to keep yourself motivated and
Yeah.
fresh, right? But environmental changes are huge. Obviously, you don't want to have too many environmental changes, otherwise, then you're just kind of procrastinating. But I think having that midday or afternoon shift and then doing something in between is a really nice way to get through that evening session, because
Yeah.
that's obviously tough. You're mentally fatigued by that point. And I used to say, I don't know, I'd love to hear your opinion on this. I used to kind of be strategic as to what I was looking at the nighttime or during the nighttime, because I knew I'd be a bit more fatigued. So there were certain things I wouldn't do at night. For instance, I wouldn't do a maths past paper at night. I just never did that, if I think back to it, because I knew I had to do that in the morning for that kind of cognition. But editing my essays and rereading lines and doing little tweaks. I always did that in the evening, and I felt like it was a waste of my day if I did that in the morning. So, did you have any strategy behind that?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely tried to focus on the harder things I had to do in the morning. So going back to like maths, I could do the paper in the morning and then wait until the afternoon or like night session to actually mark it and
Mm.
then look at the questions. But yeah, like getting quotes for English and that kind of thing that's just tedious to do is always good to do when you're not as fresh, I think.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.